bicycle miles. Of course, you ride real fast, otherwise that wouldn't take you every hour to do it.
Turn your mic on, Jason. Jason, get your mic.
All right, calls meeting in order. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Pipia,
Present.
Fry,
Present.
Schroller, Hughes,
Present.
Eichmann, Price, Behrens,
Present.
Fromm,
Present.
7-0. We have a quorum.
First up, we have the approval of the minutes.
Move to approve the minutes of the regular meeting, December 14th, 2020.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Next up, we don't have anybody here for public comment. Business and discussion items. First up is USD 364 ballpark and pool contract.
Okay, included is the previous contract we held with USD 364, and we thought we'd bring it to you guys before any discussion was had, although I did get a phone call from Pam Dinkenbrink saying that if you guys kept it all the same and changed the names in there, they would be just fine with that. That was their input. So this was up for your guys' consideration. If you wanted to do any changes or anything like that, that's up to you guys. But we just needed an agreement put forth.
Did we have any problems last year with it? I said, did we have any problems with it? With the agreement?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay.
Austin, the only thing she contacted me too, Pam did, about this contract. If for some reason something went wrong with Marshall County Sports and Rec, or whatever their name's going to be, does that mean we'll generate a new contract with the next bunch?
Yeah, we would redo the contract and redo names.
Okay.
Yes.
She was just making sure, like she said, she didn't want to get locked into something with with whoever we got, whatever their
Yeah.
name is, the next sports company. She just didn't want to get locked into that for 6 years if the city had moved on to somebody else.
Right.
Why do we make this for 6 years? I mean, what's fine, but why is it such a long time?
You want to hit your mic when you talk.
Why do we make it for 6 years? Why do we have such a long contract?
My assumption is that since we had a long-standing relationship with Marysville Sport and Rec, that the council decided at that point in time that 6 years made sense. This, if you guys want to change the duration, that's up to you. I just wanted to present what we had in existence. If we want to go down to a year, because that's what we're doing with the current contract for Marshall County Sport and Rec, or whatever they're doing business as, we can do that. That's fully up to your guys' discretion.
Do you have anything to add to that, John?
I think you could address the change of entities by saying successor and interest. It would take care of that issue. But it is appropriate to match up the periods of time with the contract, 1 year. I don't think that'd be any harm. I mean, it's pretty much the same terms. You remove the Marysville Sport and Rec, change the name of the parties. I think that'd be fine too. Consistently, I mean, the term of this administration would be, for the mayor, 2 to 4 years, depending on, so there's nothing wrong with changing the term. 6 years on its face does seem a little bit long. So there's nothing necessarily inappropriate though.
this something that we're gonna review every year? Or if we sign the 6 year, it's just gonna be 6 year unless somebody brings something to our attention?
If you sign the 6 year, it's more than likely, that's how often you're gonna review it.
Okay.
And if you set it for a year, then you set it for a year.
Okay,
But if we do sign for 6 years, we change company names or something, then the contract will get renewed again.
Well, as the attorney just stated, that if you add in the language, successor business what'd you say, John?
Successor in interest.
If you put that language in there, we don't have to worry about it.
Okay, can we add that then to the contract?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, I think it'd be nice if we went 2 years, because that's when our councils change, then the councils know what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think there's any harm in shortening, and I think 6 years does seem like an awfully long time to lock in future councils to, you know, a contract that we write up. So, yeah, whatever you guys want to do. I would probably shorten it, and then whether it be 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years, and that's, you know, up for discussion, I guess, so. So, what's council's thoughts on that? How many years do you, like 2? Okay.
But we also need to add in what John said too, into that 2 years. So
Yeah,
if-
we do.
If the company doesn't,
no,
2 years would be good, but we need to add in what John said, so that if the sports and rec, something happens, then we don't have to redo the contract after a year. It would be 2 years, and we could still renew it then.
And that would make sense to me. I guess somebody want to make a motion then?
So I'd make a motion that we change the terms of the contract to 2 years, add successor entities to it, and that would be good then.
All right. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
But I have a question.
And is this gonna conflict with anything else, any other thing we're doing? I just wanna know that.
I mean, it shouldn't. I mean, if it would conflict with anything else, I wouldn't think it would. I mean, the only thing that might change is dependent on, you know, if we have the same group next year after next running sport and rec, or if it's somebody else, that'd be the only thing that would probably change. And the school has to negotiate a separate contract with them for the work services they provide, so they would have to change that themselves.
Well, I know Pam, when she talked to me today, that J.C. and Vince are coming to their next school board meeting, whatever it is, to negotiate their side of the contract, so.
Next up, we have the airport hangar land lease contract. And I think, is that in here? I think a couple meetings ago, some council members wanted to review that contract or kind of see what was in that contract. Because I did notice this one doesn't expire until 2022, I think it was, like March, something like that.
It was for information as much as anything. We had that, they asked us if they could see what the contract said. So that's what it says.
Because if I remember right, I think part of the conversation was there are some hangars out there that are no longer being used for their original intended purpose. Now, as I was reading through the contract, I mean, that's pretty much allowed. And then it kind of gets into whether that's how council would like to continue that, or if you want to, you know, change it so that if you have a hangar, it needs to be used for aviation purposes.
So are all hangars based on this amount?
Yeah, it's a number based on your square footage, I think is how it's, so much per square foot, and it increased, from what I read, it increased every year a little bit.
Yeah, it was because we decided it was too low. And it hadn't increased in a long time, a couple of years ago, and staggering it in.
That's pretty cheap for a year.
Well, considering that there's no, I mean, you're basically renting a piece of ground that you can't do anything to sit on. I mean, there's no, you take these factors and you pay on this, there's no utilities. I mean, what do you, it's a lot, I'm sorry.
It's a lot more expensive than the agricultural ground that we're leasing at the airport.
But it's a lot cheaper than a storage unit. If you go rent a storage unit for $50 to $100 a month,
Right,
you're paying a lot less here, and there's no utilities or anything there either.
Right, but ideally they're not storage units. And also, I would think the city, we do a lot of things that aren't market rate.
Just seemed very cheap to me.
Well, the last time we raised it, one of our people that rent up there came in and just basically about had a kitten about it. I said they complained about how much that we raised it for, and I told them, I explained to them, I said the prices hadn't been raised for a very long time.
This was kind of a compromise solution because it had been so long since
Since it
they
had
had been
been done,
raised. Because,
yeah.
yeah, this is a significant increase over what it was, but it had been that for 15 or 18 years.
Yeah.
A really long time.
Are we gonna make a point to the people up there that these are for the airplanes, or they're not for storage? Is that what are we gonna make that point with them? Or are we just gonna let them continue storing things?
You'd have to modify the contract from the way I read it, is it's allowed. It says at the beginning that it's to be used for an airplane hangar and to store an airplane, but then it says later on, for storage and hangar of aircraft and personal property.
And personal property, okay.
And it says the FAA has approved the request for interim use of the subject hangar for non-aviation purposes during the term of its lease.
Yeah, I think part of it was as long as it's non-hazardous, I think that was one thing. And I know something that came up before when this was discussed was, well, how do you gain access? Do you inspect them? I mean, because again, the buildings are privately owned. It's an improvement on leased land legally.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I think that gets in kind of hairy waters as well.
Yeah,
but.
it does.
Mr. Mayor? And what do we do if it says here that they're supposed to be kept in good repair? So what happens if they're not kept in good repair?
Well, there's at least one out there that's, you could argue that there's more than one probably that's not in the best shape.
I mean, I
know
think we
one of
need to
them is-
enforce that. I mean, really.
Well, one of them is supposed to be taken down, at some point.
I think that the one that, if we're thinking about the same one, I noticed when I was up there last week, it has been emptied. So it looks like they must be getting ready to take it down. The one that's got part of the roof missing and things. So they must be getting close.
And that was what we were told at the committee meeting here a few months ago, was that it was supposed to be coming down. So, other than that, I think there's maybe a couple other ones that, because I noticed, which there's no names on there, but I noticed one of them was leased to somebody in, was it like Nevada, out of state? Is there a plane in that one, or is it just stuff stored in it?
He's had it for a lot of years. It came in a family,
Uh-huh.
and he's had it for years. His dad had it in front of him.
Yeah.
I don't know what's in there.
And that's kind of what, you get to the point where you've got enough of those that are not being used for their intended purposes, then it forces you to have to develop another area to build more hangars when you could honestly tear down what's there and build a new hangar and not have to invest in a new road or anything to get to new hangars. So, you got something to talk?
It's something that I've thought about, and I don't know, it hasn't really come up at an airport committee meeting. There are a couple hangar spots on the back row for, I would even be okay with us doing some sort of, trying to encourage those to be infilled. I mean, we'd have to do taxiway repair because our new taxiway doesn't reach some of those hangars or hangar spots. But, I mean, I don't know that maybe we could create some sort of program to incentivize some new hangars to be built there.
Well, and the committee discussed that, and that was one of the things that we talked about putting money towards was building, using some of that FAA money to build some hangars. But I mean, the committee decided that it was more important. I mean, the parking lot is in bad shape in the road, and they felt that that needed to be addressed before, additional hangars.
And I mean, I can speak to my reticence on that is, I think part of it was the income generating side. It's handled differently through the FAA, if I'm understanding it correctly. And also, I'm just not sure, after talking to other airports, we want to get into business of owning hangars. I think it'd be better maybe for us to encourage people to tear down, rebuild, build new hangars, whatever, even if it was taxiway on our side, just so we're not in the business of maintaining buildings.
Yes, and part of what was talked about too is that sometimes you have people, they come and visit. I mean, they fly in, they would like to have some place to store their airplane for just a few days, and I mean, they're making it work now. But either way, I mean, the parking lot and the road needed replaced badly, so that's where it's going. And then hopefully a few years we'll build those funds back up, and then the plan is hopefully to widen that runway out.
And the taxiway and everything is
Yep.
vastly improved since that overlay.
Mm-hmm. Well, if it's still there, they'll probably be in charge for it, I would think. I don't know if there's is there an empty vacant lot out there somewhere maybe?
There is at least one vacant hangar space.
Okay.
The footprint's in it, I don't know.
Okay, maybe that's it. Do you know anything, Cindy, about a lot out there that's sitting empty or anything that we're not charging anybody for?
Ooh, I'd have to look at the original, sorry. I have to look at I have a plan that's in my folder, and I did not look at that. I have had a call, there is somebody who really would like to have a hangar, and I had a call from somebody who might like to fix up, a different person that might like to fix up the hangar that we are all talking about tearing down, so, yep.
And that's the thing, we do occasionally have interest from people that have planes that would like to have a hangar. But when we've got hangars that are that are turned into storage areas, then we're faced with kind of the decision of whether we, put more roads out there and create more spaces to build more hangars, or if we find a way to empty those lots so that somebody can somebody can buy that hangar and repair it, or tear it down and put something else there and make it usable for its intended purpose. So, but it's kind of up to council what they want to do. I mean, this contract is still good for about another year and 3 months or so. So, and I would think if you wanted to change the wording, I would think you'd have to give anybody that was out there plenty of time. Or I would want to give them a year or maybe 2 years to find a solution. I wouldn't just, I don't think council would just pass something and then say next month you're out of there. So. I'm trying to think, who originally, do you have something, Terry?
You say we got another year to really worry about this.
We do, but that's why I'm saying if council would want to change it, I would change it I would at least have the discussion way ahead of when this contract ends, so that you could have time to notify anybody that this would affect.
Well, what I was thinking, or wanting to ask, there's been a lot of complaint about the cosmetic look, disrepair, a few things, because the city don't own the building, and maybe we could build something into this contract about where there would be an incentive to make the building owner make it more presentable, and that would have a direct effect on what he's paying to rent it. It's just an idea.
Well, that's an option. The other thing, I don't know, if there would be a way that we could incentivize or offer to say, buy that, the structure that's there off of them, and then, and then we get rid of it, or unless it's repairable, or find somebody that would want to store a plane in there.
It says leasee shall maintain the hangar.
Says leasee shall maintain the hangar on said leased premises in a good state of repair and shall maintain all exterior adjacent to the hangar in a reasonably clean, neat, and attractive condition. If they're not doing that, they're already breaking the contract.
Yeah, and the way that I read as soon as the lease is up, basically they have to remove, according to the way it's written, they're supposed to remove it and present that lot back to us in the condition that it was given to them, which is a vacant lot, the way I would read it.
I think part of the
So, yeah.
part of the problem is that's not the best, most thorough, fine definition. And there's been some disagreement about what constitutes bad repair. I mean, like, I know that it was brought to council a couple years ago by a council person that, the galvanized is kind of ugly and should be painted. Well, that's a lot easier said than done. Anybody who's painted galvanized, you're going to be painting it all the time because it's never going to. So good repair, I have a hard time. If there's holes in it and the door's falling off, that's definitely agreed.
Part of the roof's gone,
Right.
that's,
No, right. But it's where do you draw the line? As far as lease payments and that, we've never had any problems with people non-payment, have we?
No. Sorry. No, they've always been paid. It's relatively cheap.
I was just curious.
Yeah, and I don't, as I remembered, I don't think the original discussion really had a lot, I don't think it was an issue with the amount that we're getting paid. It was more an issue with buildings that weren't being used as their intended purpose out at the airport.
I think we should explore the options or to have all the hangars used as hangars. I mean, if we do it today or if we do it next month, sometime so that we can give, if we do change it, give them a year's notice that that's the way it's going to be.
Do you want to send that to the airport
Yes.
committee?
Yes.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Next up, we have planning and zoning, use permitted upon review.
Okay, so this was after a hearing by the planning commission. They talked about a daycare facility out at the lighthouse at 1189 Highway 77. This is just for information for you guys to be informed. They did approve their use permitted upon review.
Again, that was for a daycare center, correct?
Yes, for a daycare.
Which we can always use.
Not a daycare center.
Yes,
Daycare.
Okay.
daycare.
Yeah, a daycare, yes.
Move to approve the use permit
Kevin.
upon review.
Yeah, I don't-
This is just for information. Yep.
Yeah, did you have something, Terry?
Is this where the properties live?
It's at the lighthouse.
Yeah.
That's what they call that?
Yeah.
Okay, next up, we have a budget hearing for amending the swim pool sales tax fund.
Okay. Included in your packet, as we discussed at the last council meeting, is the budget amendment for the swimming pool sales tax and the bond and interest. Just to review, we did go over an expenditures on each of these, but both were related to, the swimming pool sales tax was related to, the paying off of the bonds early, which we, pooled money back into the pool fund, from cash we already had on hand, and paid that off. That made us go over our budget, but we still had cash on hand. So that, and then bond and interest had to do with transferring the money back to the general fund to help pay for the fire station, which is, in this case, not important, but it's the fact that we got more revenues than we anticipated, and we were trying to transfer back as much as possible from bond and interest to the general fund. Both had to do with cash on hand. We had cash on hand for both, but we needed to increase our budget authority for that. As of today, we didn't have any comments submitted, and nobody showed up for the council meeting as both doors are unlocked, and we've made this space available for people to come in for the public hearing. So I would ask that you approve the budget amendment so I can submit it to the county clerk.
Move to approve the amended certificate for the pool and bond and interest.
Okay, is there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, next up we have the consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Have a second? Okay. Any further discussion about any of the items? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 7-0.
And I'd like to draw your attention to the version on your table. It is an updated version. We included some of the last minute expenditures, such as the last payroll of the month. That was the main one. And then the other bigger addition is the water tower, or the water meter antennas that came in just this last week. That is in this ordinance as well.
Okay, I noticed we had $38,902 for lift station pumps and service. Do we have a few pumps that got replaced? I'm assuming
that is from Agland, and yeah, we had some when they came through. They found some issues. I'm still waiting on a cost estimate for some of the larger items, but yeah, they typically come through, find that we need to change some of the update some of the pumps, and change some of them out too.
Are we still chewing the propellers and the volutes up on the bottom of those pumps?
Yeah, we replace them as we can, but yeah.
When we get a new screening system in, should that help eliminate a lot of that wear and tear that we're getting on them now because it's sucking up and trying to pull stuff through it shouldn't?
That would help if it's before the pumps themselves. So as we've talked about the screening, it's either going to be before the main lift station, which would help that, or it would catch everything at the lagoons. So it's not sitting out at the lagoon. But I think that we were gunning for, for the one before the main lift station, so that we could catch that and put it all before it hits the pumps.
Okay, and I see we got parts for the levee gate. Is that for the one that's been broken for a while?
Yes.
Good deal. So it's fixed now, or just the parts are in?
Parts are in.
Okay, well, good deal. All right, does anybody else have anything on the spending ordinance? Yes, Terry?
I was interested what I saw when I was reading through this deal where we bought more cameras and more iPads for the police department for $39.90. Did we ever talk about that in the council before this come up?
What that mainly has to do with is that, Spark funding, and this
With
was
what?
Spark funding. The grant that we got.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't specifically talk about some of these items, like the iPads, but we were being encouraged to spend the rest of our funds, and the county said these were great items to spend it on, and so the iPads are going to be used for educational purposes. The cameras, just they go on your computer, just a little camera. Those we could have purchased either way, but they were put on the Spark funds as well.
My concern was that we were kind of left out about it, where the council maybe could have noted about some of this. That's $4,000 there, and then down at the laptop keyboard deal's another $3,000.
It was paid for by the COVID funds. We didn't pay for any of it.
Yes, we as taxpayers and the United States government paid for it.
That's correct,
Yes,
but the city didn't pay for it.
I understand that. When the council should be informed of these things. We didn't get informed about it. That's all I have to say.
All right, does anybody else have anything on the spending ordinance?
Move to approve appropriation ordinance
Kevin.
37.
Move to approve appropriation ordinance 3738.
Second.
Okay, is there any further discussion? Roll call?
Pipia,
Yes.
Fry,
Yes.
Controller,
Yes.
Hughes,
Yes.
Eichmann, Price,
Yes.
Barons,
Yes.
Braun.
Yes.
7-0.
Okay. All right, next up is Austin with the staff reports.
I didn't have anything to list out, but speaking of I just thought I'd let you know about those antennas. I am working with How Communications to get a quote to get them up on our towers, and I've been talking to Blue Valley about getting internet at the locations. There's already internet at 17th Street, and Blue Valley had the idea of doing a wireless option from tower to tower, and then they recommend. Well, I got a recommendation. It's not the official Blue Valley recommendation, that just while Haug is up there, just have Haug do the whole thing. So we're working to get that fixed. I was happy to get the antennas in. We finally pushed the right button and got them going. So I figured I'd get that updated with you guys. And that's all I had.
Okay. Oh, I was gonna ask, or you got something, Terry?
Under the heading, just staff reports, I just want to ask a question. We used to have a department head that was our inspector that put out a weekly highlight where we could all be abreast of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed that the man that replaced him never puts out a weekly highlight, and we're in the dark about it until we come talk to you at the meeting. I wonder if it could be that he could get out a weekly highlight. Is there a reason that he's not doing it?
It wasn't done but for a year, and that was out of respect for a previous mayor. And right now he's trying to actually get some work done. And these reports take up actually quite a bit of time to write. You can imagine, oh, it's only one page, but it's at least an hour per person to get these reports out. So to take up that hour at the end of the week when they're trying to put a room together or trying to do the rest of their work, I think it's, for him, it was better served trying to get him trained up.
Well, when Mr. Richardson was doing it, it was kind of a blessing for the council to be advised before we sit down and talked about a lot of things that it was nice. I'm sorry that it won't fit into his job.
Well, to be honest, the weekly reports aren't exactly the most helpful information. Yeah, you get to know what day-to-day operations are going on, but you're not getting what a normal council would be getting. A normal council would be getting a monthly report with stats and such like that. And looking back in the records, the last time that happened was back in 2010, when the council said they didn't want that, they wanted weekly reports. So, to be honest, if I would prefer going to a monthly report where you got the stats that actually helped you with your position versus what are you doing on Wednesday. That doesn't go with a lot of things.
And, well, what's council's opinion on that? Do you like the weekly reports?
They're kind of redundant to me. I think monthly reports might be better. Weekly reports, it's just the same thing over and over. You just know who's on call, and, I think a monthly report might be a little bit more detail and better use.
Yes, Terry.
I do think council members should get some kind of report. If it's only going to be a monthly report, it's nice to put the council informed about what's going on.
I have looked back at some of those reports they got on a monthly basis. I could model some of those, and we could start doing that as soon as next month if you guys want.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. We'll get to work on that.
All right.
Do you need to make a motion or anything?
No, I can just make it happen.
Okay. It's like, well, I know I was gonna bring up, what did we find out on Will's truck? Have we found anything out on that yet? Or?
As far as the mechanic is concerned, the engine is shot. They found metal flakes in the oil, and their recommendation from the Ford mechanic working on the Ford F-150, their recommendation was to change out the engine. They gave us a quote of $14,000 to change that engine out. So we are looking at alternatives. So far, the used market is not coming up with an immediate, a great option that would fit us for I would look to, if we got to use one, I'd hoped it would fit us for at least 2 years. And right now, we're not finding that.
Okay. And we don't have any police vehicles. I'm trying to think of what we've got for next year for police vehicles we're changing out. This year was a Explorer.
The next 2 years is an SUV.
Yeah, so it doesn't do us any good.
Have you asked Honeyman about finding? Have they done anything?
That's the dealership. Yeah.
But that's who you've been talking to?
Well, no, we've been searching for the options. We got a recommendation to look at a truck sales place out in Nebraska. Fine tooth comb their inventory. We did a Ford entire search for the area, I haven't resorted to calling and saying, hey, can you find this and get it shipped in? Not just yet, but we've been trying to see what's out there.
And what do you think would fit best for replacement vehicle for that?
We're looking,
Pickup truck with a topper, like
we're,
a
he
service
does,
truck, or?
F-150, 8-foot bed, something we can put toolboxes in. And that, I mean, it's seemingly a pretty standard truck. But it's just, everything we run across is
It's
high
hard to find
miles.
a half-ton that has an 8-foot bed anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, they're almost a dinosaur, I mean.
Single cab or double cab?
The regular cab, we're looking at a regular cab or a, the slightly extended one, whatever, in between, just doesn't need a back row seats, but just a regular cab or an
extended cab's gonna have like, I think it's a 6.5-foot bed, I think is about what those are.
well, that's
bit
the
longer.
that's the smallest cab right now that you can get with an 8-foot bed. You can
Oh, is that-
you can get that 8-foot
Oh, you
bed on
can
there,
in a
yes.
half-ton?
Yep.
Really? Okay. Yeah, Terry?
What number truck is it that we're talking
I don't know what number, it's Will's truck, it's the, used to be a PD, well, it was Dave's truck when he was here. I think it's a crew, is that one a crew cab or is that one extended cab? I'm wanting to say it's crew.
That's a crew cab.
It's one of the old PD vehicles and it has that, or topper on the back of it.
about? What's the next cop car?
It's what, a 2013 or something like that?
2012.
2012, okay.
2012?
Yeah, we've had it for a few years. I was kind of surprised.
Number is 571. It's at the top of the list on the fire department's budget.
Well, so what, I guess you'll keep looking for something and update us next.
Yeah, we'll keep looking, and if we can't, I was planning on bringing back, I mean, he needs a truck, because, one, he does maintenance around town. Two, when we hire a seasonal person to also come and do code enforcement, they typically use my vehicle to get around and do their code enforcement. So having Will use my vehicle right now to get around, it won't last for long. So we need a vehicle of some sort. And so I wanted to see how much a new one would cost, which is not ideal because it takes 6 months to get a new one in. But if you compare the new cost every single time to a used vehicle, for us, you can't match it. It's hard to not look that way. So I might be bringing a new cost vehicle to the next council meeting.
All right, that's all I have. Anything else under staff reports then? Standing committee reports, anybody have anything on street?
Yeah, I have something. Up on the airport road, Austin, can you bring that picture up? He's gonna bring up a picture and we need to solve the problem. And it's not.
On airport road?
Yeah, airport road. I don't think trailer frames should be sticking 3 feet out into the road. If we send a snowplow up there to clean the curb to curb right now, he's gonna peel trash cans, trailer frames, pallets, all sorts of stuff that's out in the road, and it's been like this for a long, long, long time.
Unfortunately, these Stanford pallets, because like some you either have sent something to them or not.
Right.
Especially on that.
This is pallets with parts on it.
They need to keep a step back.
And it's hard to see.
This line right here.
Yeah.
That's your curb.
Curb line, and it's good 4 or 5 feet out into the.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and it's,
Street further yet, there's stuff sticking out further.
yeah, the trailer frames are actually missing today. They've been moved. But there'll be semi-trailers sitting there, there'll be everything. There is no parking signs there. So my first recommendation, the simplest is we paint a line from there all the way to the corner so that the forklift operators know where not to put things. And if that doesn't solve the problem, we need to take another step farther. Because part of that is on us.
In the time that I got this, yes.
And in the time that I gave it to him, yeah, if you want me to take my fancy camera out there and take all them pictures, I sure can.
I'm up this like this, and they keep their dogs running.
But you know what I'm talking about then, Bobby.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, and it's just a mess.
It's out of control, is what it is.
It really is.
It's wherever they want to put it, they set it.
Yeah.
I thought maybe you could have hard, but I didn't.
I don't know if you can, Diane, or
No,
not.
it's not,
You can zoom in a little bit.
it's not a safe environment with all that sticking out because those guys are zipping in and out of there with those forklifts all over the place.
Makes them hard to see too.
Oh, it does. It does.
I think a painted line would probably be a good first step, because it wouldn't
Yeah.
take much to do, and it would serve as just a reminder, because, you know, I get it, you're in a hurry and you're sticking stuff there, you aren't necessarily gonna shoot the line, but a line would make it easy to keep track of.
It just, I think it's the only thing that makes sense right now to start
Has
with.
Well, we-
anybody approached the business yet and talked to them?
Well, that's what we
Asked
need to
them
do
about it?
first.
I guess I'm just saying before we go painting a.
No.
I think the idea of painting a line is probably a good idea.
They might like it too.
But I would approach them first before we
And
just
that-
go up and start
that's-
painting a line down there.
And that's fine, but,
It's still
how
gonna get done.
many times has this conversation come up in city council meetings? It's come up enough that they put signs up there, no parking.
Yeah, I can't remember if we've discussed it really since I've been on here, but.
Oh, this has come up a lot. I know this has come up a lot.
This has just
I've
gotten worse. and
Yeah,
worse and
yeah,
worse,
this is
so,
just
yeah.
getting farther and farther out of hand
Yeah.
is what it is.
Well, as ground up there keeps disappearing,
Well, you know what? That happens.
I know.
So-
It just keeps extending it out, so.
Yeah. So would you like to speak to the office for us?
I can, we'll definitely touch base with them. Maybe we'll ask them if they want to line up there to help them.
Yeah, ask first, and then just say that, well, you know, I've mentioned the yellow line, that we'll just be happy to mark the curb for them.
And while you're having that conversation, we might also see about bringing things back from the corner a little. I know that northbound traffic has a yield sign, but there've been some
Oh, yeah.
reasonably close calls around that curve.
On which curve are you talking about?
The corner of 20th and Airport Road,
Right there.
the southwest radius of the corner.
Yeah.
It's just, if we could keep things from encroaching there a little extra, that might help sight lines a little.
That corner there that Todd's talking about on 20th and Airport Road, here recently, they've been really stacking pallets there, empty
Yeah.
pallets.
hard
That's where they keep
The other
them
day,
right
they
there.
were probably 10 foot high or better
Yeah.
in that corner, and there's no way you could see around.
I'd pretty much come to a full stop regardless of which way I'm going, just in case.
Well, you're the only one on that road that does.
Well,
going up
especially
there.
certain times of day, you
Yeah.
don't want to get caught short there.
3:30, you can't get out of my driveway on the 20th Street, unless you
No,
just pull out.
I bet not.
If we were to paint a line, it wouldn't happen until spring,
I understand.
just for information.
This is an encouraging, we're encouraging them to do this.
Yeah.
Keep it on their side of the line.
Keep it over where it needs to be, because they're creating a hazard. They really are.
Okay.
So you'll contact them and then update us next,
I'll contact them, yes.
okay. Anybody else have anything on the street?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I do this evening. We've talked a lot about 11th Road, 12th Road, Keystone Road. I happened to drive out there the other day, and Keystone's just going to pieces. And I hate to say this, but I do not think we need to continue going out there and putting asphalt in those holes and trying to bring it back up. I think we need to dig the holes out if that's what it's gonna take, and start putting rock in out there. I know people are gonna growl about that, but that road is so beat up right now, in such terrible shape, we're gonna have to do something different in order to get this to go. Because I've got emails, I've got stuff, pictures and stuff from people that say, swerving around, and now you're getting somebody going up the hill that's on the wrong side of the road, and if somebody tops the hill, there's gonna be a head-on out there. Like I said, I don't know what to do, but the asphalt is not cutting it.
You're right, and it's the same with 11th Road as it is Keystone. That section between Keating Drive and the highway, I run out there almost every day, and you just assume somebody's gonna be on any side of the road, because people have to swerve or they're gonna take out their suspension. I think, like you said, we can't just keep putting asphalt in it, it gets squeezed out and goes to pot again.
Yeah, it's just pushing out on the sides, it's not staying where we put it, so I think we just need to discontinue putting asphalt out there and start putting rock or digging it out and putting rock in the holes. I don't care what we do, but we need to come up with a different solution than what we're doing now.
I think what people need to see out there is that progress being made too, and that may not look like progress, but what we're doing now sure as heck isn't progressing it either. I think if we can start working from where we've got it stopped at the top of the hill, 11th Road, get the section of Keating Drive done. I think if we can get, this is my opinion, I think if we can do that in concrete, because that's where all that turning traffic is, off of Prairie Lane and off of Keating Drive. And if that develops anymore, it's only gonna be more turning traffic. If we can get that far with concrete and explore that more cost-effective asphalt solution, rebuild solution from there on, but we gotta start making that progress. How long's it been since we did that concrete there by CJ's? 8 years?
A few years, yeah, quite a few years.
Yeah, see, it'll be, at this rate, it'll be bad before we get farther down the road.
Have we gotten any kind of an update on where they're at on the engineering for 11th Road?
Rob had approached me a week or so ago, talking about what kind of surface to put down. He was talking with some of his engineers, and they had a recommendation, and I asked them to write that recommendation up so you guys could review it. One recommendation, not that he was, if we wanted to do it part way as far as a road is concerned, you could, one of the ideas, and it's not really up for discussion right now, but just floating it out there, he said one of the engineers who works on these roads all the time, said, put 4 inches down now, have a good road with a good base, and then 2 years later, come back with another 2 inches, and then you have a 6-inch asphalt road after it's all said and done, but you're not expending that 6 inches of money right up front. So he was just floating it out there. I told him to write his engineer's opinion up so you guys could review whatever they came up with and put it in the plans.
The problem with that road though is, Austin, and I've seen it personally, that road is cut on a rock hill. That limestone in the summertime produces water that comes up to the surface, currently through our current asphalt. So unless they come in and put some kind of a perk pipe or something underneath of it to get that water out, I don't care if they put 10 inches of asphalt on it, it's still going to keep creeping through that asphalt. That whole road needs to be taken down, recut, and some kind of a pipe put in underneath to get the water out from under the road. It does it on that, and it does it on Keystone. There's 3 or 4 spots that water actually comes to the surface in the middle of summer.
Okay.
So it's not a simple fix like everybody thinks.
So you want to get back to them about that, about the water?
Yeah.
A question too is, do we have any kind of current traffic count data for how much traffic is actually, we'll say, going between Prairie Lane and Keating Drive, or between Keating Drive or Keating Road, Keating Street, whatever it is, and 11th and Keystone Road? Do we have the capability to get that data?
We do have a traffic counter. Haven't used it since I got here. So, I mean, it is available,
So it
and
needs
I'm
cleaned
assuming
up.
it still works. But I can check into that.
I think it'd be good to see where, this is to my angle of what may be different solutions for different parts of the road, to see how much traffic is actually cresting that hill, how much traffic is actually going all the way to Keystone. I think it'd just be good data to have, especially if we already own the equipment, because it won't cost us anything to get that data.
Okay.
But like I said, I think the frustration is the perception of lack of progress, because this has been a slow simmer for a long time. Is that all about 11th Road?
I go 12th Road if you want.
No, I got something else.
That's all I have.
I will say even 11th Road North is starting to get some spots that in the next few years we're gonna have to be.
Yeah, up by the cemetery,
Yeah,
the worst spot.
there are some bad spots and
They
on
put a lot of
North Street too.
fill in there. It looks okay right now, actually. Hope it holds through the winter.
Yeah. Okay, anything else on the street?
Yeah, going back to the old concrete thing, I think it's on our project list for next year to do spring and 12th. Is that correct?
That is correct.
I have had somebody in the neighborhood ask me about that because they knew I brought it up a time back, and it just gets worse and worse. After this winter, luck with good fortune, next year we'll have football games again where people want to walk there, and somebody's going to turn an ankle if nothing else, or somebody with low profile tires is going to take out a wheel because it's broken up. Are we going to do work on that in conjunction with the school district?
Well, I don't know if we ever did, was a school, have we reached out to them again to see if they're interested in doing
Yes,
that?
I have. And they said they're not interested due to the amount that was estimated, but the idea I have is to basically bid their parking space as an
Ad option?
ad option.
Yeah.
So they can actually see the price firsthand and make the decision at that point in time. And if they say no, they say no.
And realistically, if we do to the to the property line or whatever on our side, I think that's the majority of the problem.
Right.
And then if they decide 5 years from now to do it, they can come back in and do that.
They can do that, yep.
Good.
So I'm gonna give them the upfront. I gave them the upfront option. I'm gonna give them the actual option when it comes and when I write that up, so.
I got one more thing. I brought it up a couple times, I think over the last maybe 2 years, just north of the alley between Elm Street and Walnut Street off of 12th Street. The approach going west, because there is no alley going east there. The approach going west, we did some work there, I think a water line probably 2 years ago, and we went back and we did put more new concrete in where the sidewalk crosses. And at least the neighbors there at the time were under the impression that we were going to also replace the approach or the apron or whatever from the street. And it is still rock and it just tries to wash out. Do we have that on our radar to, when we're in the neighborhood, do as well?
It is still on the list, but like with everything on the list, if it wasn't causing an immediate issue, it wasn't being moved up. But it is still being planned to being fixed, especially if we go back to trying to fix the curb line at the school. I think that, it just makes a lot of sense.
Good.
Anything else on the street?
I'll save the rest for next meeting.
All right, water and wastewater. Parks and Rec?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
On water and wastewater, I've had a couple people come up and approach me here recently about water pits. Are we getting any closer to getting them in? I know we had a backlog on some of them, but
We've done some so often, I forget how many we did. I'd have to look back, but when we get a chance, we do put them in. And
because I know we're several years behind on them.
Right, we've been trying to prioritize those when we have the space to put them in.
Well, like somebody told me, they paid $700 many years back, and he said, we still don't have my pit.
Correct.
And he goes, why should we be paying money ahead that far if we're not getting our services taken care of? they said that $700 could have sat in the bank for 5 years, as long as it's been now, and drawn the interest.
There's one that I know in particular that it's been years. But it's also one that it's a rock ledge, there's not a main anywhere near there, the water comes from a long ways away. I mean, there's a few of them that are like that, where it's not just as simple as just adding a pit. There are other things that need to be addressed too. I think there's a few of them out there that are like that. And I don't know how far up on our priority list those particular ones are.
Like I said, we've been trying when the time allows us to get those in, especially when we can do multiple in a row. And I think the last time we did meter pits, we did multiple right in that area. I think we did right around the school. Quite a few of those pits were installed all at the same time. But yes, like the mayor said, when there's a rock ledge in the way, or it's just not the easiest to get it from A to B where it needs to be. It is a challenge, and we've had issues lining up contractors because we didn't have the equipment to put those meter pits in. It was a challenge to get those contractors lined up and then actually commit to do the work. They'd show up, they'd look at it, and then say, "Oh, I'll get back with you," and then just never come back. I mean, and these are reputable people that we work with all the time, and it's those challenges on top of, like the mayor was saying, that make it hard to make everything happen.
I was just curious because, like I said, I've had a couple people comment on it, and I thought I'll bring it here and find out what the deal is, so.
What are all the flags and everything all over for up in our area? All the flags are putting up on the parking up in our area.
Like they're just,
Down by the park and on Walnut Street and Elm Street and...
Could be a project happening. It could be anything. I don't have a list of things. Another person could be working on their.
People were asking, I said, I didn't know. I didn't think we were doing anything.
Anybody could call on locates for that.
Well, I mean, they're, okay.
Yep.
You haven't seen the flag?
No, I haven't gone down there.
Okay, anything else on water, wastewater? Parks and Rec? Cemetery and airport? Oh, yep.
Kevin and I have been up there to the ball fields. Lakeview needs some updating, lighting, roll-up windows on the concession stand, paint, countertop, air conditioner that hasn't worked for years, ceiling fans, freezer. They have a little freezer that they can't even keep enough icy pops in to get through one night, the busy night. So we need to look at that. Then we need to go over there to Feldhausen Field, and they have water running through the concession stand storeroom. Yeah, the concession stand storeroom sits on the ground. We need to look at getting something different over there and updating them bathrooms so they're handicap accessible and everything like that. Like, seriously look at it. Not a fleeting thought like it's been for like 15 years. Because I can't say there's been much done up there. And it's kind of an embarrassment. I mean, I encourage everybody to take a little tour through there.
If you go up to Lakeview, unfortunately, the ceiling where the joints and stuff are, the tape's coming loose and all that, so all that needs to be replastered and repainted in there, so.
What would you like to do? Would you like to have the committee, Parks and Rec committee? maybe have a meeting and kind of look into it. I think it's one of those cases where if you're gonna have a committee meeting, I think it almost makes sense to just go out there and walk through it. And, because I've heard some of the things described to me, but it's different seeing it in person as compared to just hearing about it. Some of it I can kind of envision, and the rest of it, I've never really been through most of those buildings up there, so.
Well, Austin, you or Cindy might know, in the, I'm gonna call it the chase area between the restrooms that runs at Lakeview. They put a heater in that in the spring when ball season's going on. If we had I'm gonna call it combination heating air conditioning unit, would that be enough to keep that main concession stand warm enough plus heat that chase area instead of buying just an air conditioning unit?
It would, I mean, you did get it designed for not designed, but get a unit that would hold up.
Like, a lot of times what you see in a situation like that is what they call a mini split. And you'll have a remote condensing unit and then a cassette that sits up inside, and they're nice and quiet. The only thing about most of theirs is they're a heat pump, so once it gets to be really cold, they don't work so well. And then you're back to electric heaters of some kind to keep it heated. Most heat pumps, you get down to 0 degrees and they're not going to do a whole lot. We're kind of on that edge where you get a lot further north of us, and heat pumps don't really make a lot of sense. They make really good sense in Texas and even Oklahoma and parts of Kansas. We're kind of on that edge where you don't see them a whole lot. But yeah, I'd have to look and see. I'm assuming they just got a window air conditioner right now, probably, in there. It doesn't work.
The one unit sets to the northeast corner, in case you gotta kind of go around and get back to it, so. I don't know if it could blow enough air to keep that building warm enough to take care of that, or.
Yeah. And you can get air conditioners that are a heat pump and have some auxiliary electric heat in them.
Theoretically, you only gotta keep it above freezing. Theoretically, you only gotta keep it above freezing in that building. I mean, it doesn't have to stay 50 degrees in there, or 60. I mean, it just needs to maintain a temperature so it doesn't freeze.
Yeah. Well, we need to probably, like I say, I don't know if you want to have a committee meeting and just go out there and kick some of this stuff around, or I think it might be helpful too if we took some pictures, so we could come back to council and have some pictures of what the issues are out there. And I know it's something we've discussed before, and we know that we need to address some of it. It's just, money is the thing, but if we can find some things that don't cost a lot that we can kind of make some steady progress on, then that would be a good thing. So what are you thinking?
I would like to have a committee meeting, and I'd like to take Austin so he could bring a camera, and then he could take the pictures and be able to present them down here in whatever format you need to use. I would like to get it done before the next council meeting. And if that means that the meeting's at 4:15 or so, Cindy, that's fine. If it starts a little bit before that and I join you later on, that's fine too.
Okay. Now, how did the inventory and everything go?
It went fine. We got a good deal. We're gonna need to clean the trash out of Lakeview. We're gonna need a 1-ton dump truck to haul it off. And it needs to go directly to the transfer station, so number one, it doesn't get sold and get back in our inventory somehow. And number two is that we know that it left, because then it'll get destroyed and it'll be gone. Basically like batting helmets. If you push the foam in and it didn't come back out, it went in the trash pile. And they're old. The shocker is we went through the bats. We kept 16 of them. We threw away like 85 of them. They're the old solid, not solid, but the old aluminum ones that just say softball bat on the side in blue screen printing. We guess it to be about 35 years old. They are like way past illegal. Kids shouldn't even be swinging them. Other than that, there's a few things up there that we need to decide if we want to sell them, keep them as spares, like some of the chalkers and paint stripers, little things like that, that I don't think you need 3 or 4 chalkers. I think you need 2. And then stuff like that. We need to clean up the inventory list before this next company gets it. That way it's not so confusing.
Is there anything that we need to buy? And I know a lot of people this last year went out and bought their own helmets and their own equipment, so that they didn't have to
And
worry
that's
about
where,
it 'cause
that's where
COVID.
Brian recommends that you see what happens. And I think he's right, because it's, like the tees and the T-ball bats are fine. I wouldn't jump out and buy anything right at the moment. And the reason I wouldn't is because you don't know how everybody's evolved this last year. I don't know if we'll issue out very many helmets at all, because I think everybody's went out and bought their own helmet. And it's just like bats. I think everybody's went out and bought a lot of their own bats. That type of stuff. So.
Did we ever resolve the kind of the chalk? There was a little bit of talk about the chalk that they had left over, how many bags, and if that was just going to get turned over to the new group, or how that was going to work.
I don't believe it should be turned over to them. I believe it should be sold to them.
Okay.
And I think they should buy it at fair market value, because we're saving them some money. Because they're gonna have to buy a whole pallet of it.
Yeah.
And if they don't wanna do it after a year, they're gonna be stuck with God knows how many bags. So I think we have 31 bags. I think we ought to sell it to them and try and get as far through the year as they can with it.
And then at the end of the contract, then we would buy back.
We may, I mean, if they're not interested, yeah, we may have to buy back some bags.
Depending on how the year goes.
But, and I think we got some, there's some cans of paint striping they're gonna need for soccer and football. I think that's the same thing.
Right.
Sell it to them, because if we sell it to them at the deal, then they don't have to buy, they're not forced to buy a big quantity like they're going to be if they try and go out and buy it on their own.
Okay.
So I remember at a pallet of chalk, you have to buy the whole thing, and I think it's 60 bags. 56. Yeah, they gotta buy a whole pallet and 56, so it's 56 bags. Well, 31 should get them pretty close.
Yeah, and I don't know how much they use. I don't know, does a pallet get them a year, 2 years? I don't know how much chalk it takes, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, Brian didn't tell us how long it took to get through that much.
Okay.
He did tell us there's 56 bags on a pallet.
All right. Okay. Have you had any talks with that group about the chalk or anything?
They signed the contract and are waiting for the inventory page that you
Okay.
guys will come up with.
All right.
But that's all. I do have a signed contract. That's all I have.
Okay. To me, I think that'd be the fairest, would be sell them the chalk and then buy it back at the end of the year, and that way they, depending on how the year goes and whether they do it next year or whatever, but whenever you switch organizations, then you buy back the chalk and sell it to the new one and go on your merry way. Makes sense to me. Okay. Anybody else have anything on Parks and Rec? Okay, so we're gonna have a committee meeting. Made a motion. Did anybody second it?
I'll second it.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right. Anything else on Parks and Rec? Cemetery and Airport? Police and Fire?
Working on the firehouse, are they gonna be, they're kinda late getting started, is it gonna be okay?
Well, no, I mean, the weather's been, up until the last week or so, pretty nice. Last I'd heard, the building, they didn't think the building would be in until, was it March, something like that?
They had just submitted the, the building plans to the architect, and they're going through a review process of it. They're at that stage. Right now, they're just working on footings and getting the, well, the main part of what they're working on right now is leveling it out to where they need it to be. And then they can work on footings. That part shouldn't be affected that much by the weather at this point.
So they're not gonna run concrete now, though?
They gotta do the pilings, first, so they probably work on that. And that, I think that includes some rock work, some rock in there. I don't think they're ready to do too much concrete work.
Okay.
All right, anything else on police and fire? Admin and finance? Yes.
I have one thing, Mr. Mayor. How long is it gonna be till we can start opening meetings up to the public? I've had a few people ask about that.
To be fully open, you guys need to be up there. So once you guys are up on the U, then to actually go, okay, everybody come in, that's the point. I think that's the only fair way to do this.
Well, we're having the conversation. Have you guys heard anything about shots coming in? The county, us, the community getting shots?
The only thing that's happening thus far are the frontline workers, like the hospital. I think the next in line would be first responders and stuff like that, but we're not slated to get anything until the late spring, early summer. That's when they're looking at for us regular people. Okay. I mean, there has been discussion that city workers, I don't know why. Yes, the fire department, the police department, all that, those line workers, by all means, give them the shots. But I just hear discussion here and there. But until they actually show up, we can't guarantee when they're going to come in.
Okay.
When I talked to somebody at the hospital last week, they said they only got 70 doses, and they were hoping to get more this week, because they never even got all of their direct patient care or people at the hospital vaccinated.
And the last I heard from the governor, and that was a week or so ago, they said they were getting, for the first wave, 80,000 total doses. And that was a split between Pfizer and Moderna. And Moderna hadn't been confirmed at that point in time, but all of it together was about 80,000 in that first wave. And that's across the state.
Okay, anything else on admin and finance?
Yes, I do. We spoke last week about the condemnation hearing on the property up here on 10th Street. And I've had a couple people ask me questions on this here. If we do condemn the property and the city does tear it down and use taxpayer dollars to forego it, to tear the building down, and then for some odd reason it costs us, let's say, $40,000, and it goes to a sheriff's sale, is there any way we can guarantee that the city gets their $40,000 back?
That's a risk with any condemnation. It becomes a special assessment on the property, and it's put it on the tax rolls. If the taxes aren't paid, it goes up on tax sale, and the property sold at the public auction. Will it recover fully? Probably not. You can attempt to sue them civilly. I had some success in Blue Rapids one time. It was a fluke, I think, but we were able to recover it civilly. But generally that's the problem throughout the state. Not being able to recover those costs, and you lose those costs when this property is taken down. It would be nice if you could work a deal locally, create some incentive and surety with a potential buyer, but that's pretty hard to do. It involves a private entity.
Thank you, John.
While we're on properties, I guess, where are we at on the property on, there off of 12th Street?
We should have it lined up for you next time. I can't remember the exact address, maybe Cindy has the exact address, but
12 something Carolina, maybe like 1205 or 7, it'd be somewhere in there.
I've got the reports now, and I don't think this one we need an engineering report. I think there's sufficient evidence through the building inspector to start the proceedings. It is not habitable, there's nobody living there, so the issues are a little bit more distinct.
Where are we talking about?
Catty corner, well, it'd be Walter,
1205 Carolina.
Yes.
that's probably the address, yeah, it'd be right in there, in the middle of the block, Catty, kind of north and east of 12th Street Liquor, right across the alley.
on the south
Mhm.
Catholic school.
Oh, okay. And all the bicycles and
Stuff sitting on the road.
we've talked about
It's,
before.
Yeah.
been talking
We've
about
done
it for
something
years.
about that before.
Yeah, the same place we cleaned up before. Twice.
Okay. So next council meeting, you should have something for us.
Yes, I've got the reports, I've done the review at the courthouse with the records and the ownership records, and I think we should be ready to go. I'll put a little packet together with information, then I'll have a resolution. At that time, decide whether or not to set it for hearing. Set it for hearing, we'll get the person served, and we'll have a hearing. You'll consider the evidence and decide at that time whether or not to condemn the property.
Okay, all right. That's all I had. Anybody else have anything on admin and finance? We don't have any appointments. I think we do need to have an executive session.
Yes. I move the city council recess an executive session to discuss possible acquisition of real estate pursuant to the acquisition of real estate exception KSA 754319B6. This session will include the mayor, city council, city administrator, and the meeting will resume back at city
I'd add the city attorney.
City
Since he's here
attorney.
tonight.
The meeting will resume back here in city council chambers, 15 minutes, you think? At 8:40.
All right, do I have a second? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Yeah, you're kicking you out. Let's see, 1 second. Yes. Yes.
call this meeting back to order. Call this meeting back to order. No binding decisions were made. Next up, we have roundtable. Bobby? Todd?
Happy New Year, everyone.
Diane?
I hope everybody went around and saw the Christmas lights. They were awesome this year, so probably had more lights this year than we have for a while, so very nice.
Terry?
No. No.
Parker?
I got nothing right now.
Colleen?
Nothing, but let's hope 2021's better than 2020 was.
I hope so. I think we're all hoping that. Kevin?
I have nothing tonight, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, then I don't have anything either. Other than, that I didn't make it, but Dale retired this last week after many years of loyal service to the city. And, we wish him well in retirement, and hopefully we get into next year when we get past COVID, and we might have to have some makeup retirement parties for a couple people. Cause it's a weird year to retire. Not the normal thing that we would normally do, so that's all I had.
Move to adjourn.
All in favor, say aye.